As a trophy hunter, it's really interesting to me looking at the rarest trophies in games. Normally these are only gotten by people actively going for them, and so it's less likely for a casual to stumble upon them. Fallout games are a really good example of this due to the variety of things you can do and a lot of stuff you'll probably miss. As such, I thought it'd be really fun to take a look at every Fallout game's rarest trophy, and you know what, I'll throw in the DLC too, why not? Before we start though, some things to note. First, I'm going off the PlayStation versions, that's just what we do here, though I imagine most of these are the same regardless of which version you are playing on. Second, nothing before Fallout 3 has trophies or achievements. If they had Steam achievements, I absolutely would have included them on the list, but they don't, so I didn't. Third thing to note is as PSN only shows one decimal place, some trophies show the same percentage. When this happens, I will defer to the PSN profile's website track percentage so we have one definitive rarest per entry. Not a perfect system, but it works well enough. Fourth, this is only relevant for Fallout 4, but I will be looking at the PS4 trophy list rather than the PS5, as it has more players and so probably a more accurate representation of trophy rarity. With all that said though, let's get into this, starting with Fallout 3, Vault-Tec CEO, 4.9%. We start with Fallout 3, probably the easiest game trophy-wise. I want to quickly mention it here, on PS3 this game, as well as New Vegas to a lesser extent, crash so often and just don't run very well. Obviously this interferes with your trophy hunting, so save often kids, really do, it's important. This trophy needs you to collect all 20 bobbleheads in the game. Simple in nature and easy with a guide. However, there are a few sticking points with it, namely that up to 4 of these can be missable. These are the one in Vault 101, if you don't grab it one of the few times you're here, and one in Raven's Rock for the same reason. These are because you can't come back to these locations after leaving the final time. There's also some that can become missable based on your choices. There's one in Megaton that if you decide that Megaton doesn't need to be there anymore, you won't be able to get, as well as one in Evan King's house in Arafu if you break the lock. The other 16 you should be good to get no problem once you know where they are. Now you don't need to use a guide, but they certainly do exist and I did use them. Searching for collectibles in the wasteland for hours on end isn't my idea of fun. Might be for you, not for me. Operation Anchorage, 14.4%. Hey look, they said the thing. All of this DLC's trophies are just for completing its main story missions. Naturally this means that the rarest is for the last quest. Not a lot to say on it other than that. It's combat heavy and choice light, but after beating this DLC you do get a sweet power armor set that is at least one of, if not the best in the game. So if you haven't done this DLC, that's a really good incentive right there. The Pit, Millworker, 2.9%. Ah yes, fun. For this trophy you need to collect 100 steel ingots. For story progression you only need a few of these, but this trophy needs you to get 100. How many are there lying around? 100 exactly. Now with a guide, yes, this is easy, of course it is, but boy I couldn't imagine searching around this place for these ingots that are often hidden, blend in with the environment, and just are not fun to find. It's also a fairly large area just to add to the length of your search, and possibly the biggest troll move is that a couple of these ingots aren't in the main area but instead the connecting entrance area. Why? You literally found 98 or so in the main area and so you think that's where the rest of them are, so you search for hours, but nope. Your search would be in vain. You do admittedly get some nice rewards for doing this, but considering it's not mandatory combined with the fact that searching around is, let's face it, pretty damn boring, I imagine most players just got the few they needed to progress and never looked back. Me? Absolutely use the guide. I'm not running around like a lemon for hours. You can't make me. Broken Steel, True Mortal, 2.1%. This DLC's rarest trophy has nothing to do with the DLC's quests, instead it's because the level cap increased. Fallout 3 has a bunch of trophies for reaching certain levels as different karma levels, and that was the same with this DLC, with the rarest being to reach level 30 with neutral karma. Now this does make sense why it's the rarest. Most people would either pick good or evil. Playing neutral just doesn't sound fun or natural to me. What I did for this and all the other karma level trophies was once I got a good way through the preceding level, I would save and just start murdering towns to lower my karma, level up, and then reload to get the other karma levels and not have empty towns anywhere. For this one specifically, there is also a perk that instantly gives you neutral karma starting at level 24, so when you hit level 29 you could select that and then hit level 30 without altering your karma. But I didn't do that, I did the murder the world method. Point Lookout, Bogwalker, 4.2%. Maybe the best Fallout 3 DLC? The enemies are a bit strong, but otherwise, Yeah, I'd say so. The Rarest trophy is the only one not story related and needs you to find all locations on the map in Point Lookout. You can find completed maps online and go to where you need to complete your own, but honestly you'll get the majority just playing through the main story and find the remaining missing ones fine without a guide. The map isn't that big, at least not when compared to the main game's maps, so chances are there'll be at least one unexplored location on your compass as you run through it. As I said though, enemies are strong, so be careful and maybe save often so you don't lose progress because you didn't see that guy coming. Based on a true story. Mothership Zeta. Alien Archivist, 1.6%. Ah, Mothership Zeta, truly one of the DLCs of all time. At least the loot is fun, I guess. The Rarest trophy needs you to collect all 25 alien captive recordings from these circle terminals. Sounds simple enough, but trust me on this one, just use a guide. Not because they're really well hidden or anything, but more because you can permanently lose access to some of these if you progress too far into the DLC story. Missable collectibles are an achievement or trophy hunter's bane, and this game is no different. Once again, this is the only non-story trophy in the DLC, and that combined with the missable nature of them, I think makes it pretty obvious why this is the rarest of the DLC's trophies. Also, people probably don't want to spend more time in this DLC than necessary. I know I didn't. Fallout New Vegas. Artful Pocketer, 1.4%. New Vegas has some real varied achievements. You can be evil and help out the Legion, or play Caravan for a bit, which is actually quite fun once you figure out how to play it, or you can even attempt hardcore mode. But none of these are the Rarest trophy. Nope, instead the Rarest is for picking 50 pockets. Okay. I'm gonna be real, I don't know how this is the Rarest. With save scumming, there is no danger of aggroing an entire town, and there's even at least one NPC with respawning items. What I personally did was find Carlitos asleep, save, and repeatedly pickpocket him without the item ever actually being taken. I don't know why this worked, I assume it's a bug, but it helps me get the trophy easy, so it's one of the good ones. Yeah, really not sure how this is rarer than Caravan, seeing as that's more out of the way and no one knows how to play it online apparently. Dead Money. Safety Deposit Box, 2.9%. Dead Money is like half good. Really interesting story, but an absolute chore to play. All the trophies are story related though, so that's less to think about there. This one is for getting one of the endings, for trapping Father Elijah in the vault. This is not as simple as just making a dialogue choice, you need to lure him to the vault first and then sneak out without killing him. If you're seen, he will attack you and you'll be locked into the other ending. As this requires a bit more work, makes total sense that this is the rarest trophy for this DLC. Though once you know what to do, it's not that hard to execute. Just gotta sort of shimmy around this pillar and not be seen and then just leave. Oh, and you can also save scum to get both ending trophies without needing to replay the DLC, which is good because I really don't want to replay this DLC. Honest Hearts. May my hand forget its skill, 2.8%. Like Dead Money, all the trophies are story related in this one. This trophy is for one of the endings, for evacuating instead of wiping out the enemy. I guess more people want violence than ensuring the people's safety. Unlike Dead Money though, this is just a single choice and doesn't require any extra thinking. Not a lot more to add on it. Make a save so you can get both endings. This one is for siding with Daniel. Have fun! Old World Blues. Making Friends, 6.5%. This trophy is for clearing the side quest All My Friends Have Off switches. This sends you all around the DLC's map collecting holotapes. After collecting them all, you return to the sink and activate all the robots and wabam, trophy unlocked. This is probably the rarest as it sends you all over for what feels like ages. I do remember wondering when it was going to end and getting pretty tired of doing it, so people abandoning it to focus on the actual main story makes total sense to me. The robots' personalities are either funny or grating depending on you, and I'll just leave it open as to which side I fall on. You'll never guess. Lonesome Road. Warhead Hunter, 1.0%. My favourite of the New Vegas DLC's rarest trophy is another collectible like one. For this, you need to use the detonator you're given to blow up 30 warheads around the DLC's map. Quite a few of these are along the way of doing the main story, but there are a few you won't come across naturally, including a couple in the Courier's Mile area, which is super dangerous. I stealthed my way to those ones and ran away before I got mauled by Deathclaws. Unfortunately, there's no way to see which ones you've already done, so when you're going for them, it's likely you'll be revisiting spots you've already gone to in search of the few that you're missing. There's helpful maps online with all of them marked, which I definitely used, but you don't have to, but you can and probably should. Gunrunner's Arsenal. Pros only, 0.5%. Gunrunner's Arsenal is the least interesting DLC, but probably has the hardest trophy in the whole game. Challenges in general in New Vegas were never things that I worked towards. I actually didn't know there was a menu with them until going for the Platinum Trophy, so oopsie. This trophy needs you to complete 3 3-star GRA challenges. You can look up the specifics for all of these yourself, but a lot of them need you to kill either creatures or people with certain weapons. Not bad in theory, but I made a save before doing any of this just so I could kill friendly NPCs without worrying about it. For example, you need to kill 15 named NCR members with specific melee weapons. Obviously, I didn't want to anger the NCR before doing my endings, so of course I reloaded after doing all this. You obviously need to make sure you do 3 challenges before reloading though. You need to have 3 completed on one instance, I guess. There's also a similar challenge for the Legion in case you were wondering. Other than angering the factions, the ones for the creatures are just cruel, like needing you to defeat Deathclaws with, let's be honest, really weak weapons. You're just not gonna do that. The GRA challenges had me running around the map looking for specific enemy spawns to meet the criteria. Wasn't a fan really. It's not helped that a lot of these you just won't do in a normal playthrough. You're just not gonna massacre every NPC you see. Fallout Shelter. Overachieve much? 1.6%. Fallout Shelter is obviously the most different of the Fallout games that we're looking at today, not being first person and primarily designed for your phone. You guys have phones, right? To be honest, I don't mind it that much. Fun for a little bit, don't take it too seriously. So now we're going to seriously hunt all the trophies. The Rarest needs you to complete 100 objectives. These can range from leveling your dwellers or killing a certain amount of enemies or building certain rooms. Anything's up for grabs really. You can skip difficult ones with Nuka-Cola if you wish. One more thing to note is I'm pretty sure these objectives get more difficult the bigger your vault gets. I haven't looked that up, but that is just from my memory. With this in mind, it may be faster to do this fairly early on, which, given its rarity, people opted not to do. The more likely reason this is the rarest though is just that people probably didn't play this game for a great length of time. When it first came out, I personally only played it for a few hours tops, and if it weren't for the trophies, I likely wouldn't have come back to it. Fallout 4, Benevolent Leader, 2.3%. I mean, are you surprised? It's been made easier through updates and DLC, but make no mistake, Benevolent Leader is still a pain. A lot of this is admittedly due to conflicting, untested, and inaccurate information everywhere online. For this trophy, you need a settlement with 100 happiness. So how does the happiness system work? Right, I'll try my best, but I am far from an expert. In fact, this information comes from It's Jabbo, a prominent Fallout YouTuber, so go watch his video for more detailed explanation. Basically, the first 80 happiness is based on defense, water, food, and beds. You need the same or higher of these as the number of settlers, so the easiest is to have 1 settler. The last 20 happiness is from what we'll call excess factors. The easiest way to get this is a tier 1 trader and dog meat at the settlement, as each of these gives 10 happiness. That makes 100 and you have the trophy, provided you only have 1 settler, as that final 20 is also divided by the number of settlers. So to reiterate in simple terms, the easiest way to get this trophy seems to be 1 settler, dog meat, tier 1 trader, and at least 1 of each stat. If any of that is wrong, I apologize, but this is easily the most technical explanation in this video, so I tried my best. Automatron, the most toys, 8.2%. This is the only trophy for this DLC that isn't unlocked by doing its main questline. You need to build 10 robot mods. Best to do this after beating the DLC, as you will likely need a lot of materials, and scavenging the robots throughout can help you with that. Not a lot more to add on it though. The only limiting factor is the amount of materials, as I mentioned, but I suppose also go for the mods with less requirements as well, to make this easier and reduce the amount of farming you need to do. Wasteland Workshop, Trapper, 0.5%. It's a shame that Fallout 4 has a lot of these inconsequential, nothing DLCs. I didn't care for the settlement system, so that's my take anyway. This trophy needs you to build every trap added in this DLC, except the gorilla one. This is likely because the gorillas getting freed is tied to certain endings and they don't want to lock any of the players out of the trophy. Now, I'm not going to list all the materials for all the traps. You can look that up for yourself if you need to. But it's your standard junk materials as well as various meats to lure the various creatures. Worth mentioning, you just need to construct the trap, not capture the creature, so that does make it a little bit faster. The hardest part will probably be getting specific rarer meats such as Yaoguai, which are a lot rarer than other creatures. You can probably look up spawn locations and such to make this easier for the rarer ones. Far Harbor, The Islander's Almanac, 1.2%. The best DLC, don't at me, For this trophy, you need to collect the 5 issues of the magazine with the same name as the trophy that are around Far Harbor. They're all in static locations and unmissable, so you don't need to worry about that. Some are a little out of the way admittedly, as well as being really easy to miss even if you are in the correct location, so I do get why this is the rarest trophy in the DLC. With a guide especially though, you can get this done really quickly. In fact, why don't you, so we can get this percentage up? Let's do it. Contraptions Workshop, max production 1.4%. Ah, more settlement rubbish. Or garbage for the Americans. I apologize for the accent. For this one, you need to produce 100 items from the builders. Basically, these turn items into other items. Now, you might just get this by using it normally, but if you're like me, as in avoided the settlement system wherever possible, you likely wouldn't have used it enough, if ever. Thankfully, you can do this quite easily using a standard builder. Set it up for either plastic pumpkins or steel balls or some combination of the two. They take either 4 plastic or 5 steel per item. The reason these are good is because the items you get on the other side can also be broken down for more plastic and steel. So in actuality, you're using a lot less resources than it seems like. This method won't take that long, maybe half an hour or so pop a TV show on in the background to watch while you do this. That's what I did. Vault-Tec Workshop. Oversight. 4.2%. All the trophies for this DLC are tied to its questline, kinda. As such, the rarest is for becoming Overseer, which happens at the end of the questline. Normally, that is. You can actually get this early by killing the Overseer at any time. I wouldn't recommend doing this, at least until after you've got the other trophies, as you obviously can't continue the questline without the quest giver. It also doesn't take that long just doing the quest normally, and come on, do it at least once, you paid for it after all. Nuka World. Eyes on the prize, 0.3%. The rarest trophy in all of Fallout 4, and for good reason. You need 100,000 prize tickets from the Nukacade in Nuka World. The reason why this is so rare is pretty simple. 100k is just way too many. Just as an example, I used the spray and pray gun and did the shooting gallery game, and for each round of that you get around 700 to 800 tickets, with each round lasting around a minute. Doing the math, that's a little over 2 hours, which doesn't sound a lot compared to some other grindy games, but I really want to stress that this is boring. There's no challenge with this gun, the explosions make it so you don't need to aim. Now I will say though, this is not the fastest method. I know there's exploits you can do with the basketball game and some unintended stuff by placing machines in settlements. It's to do with manually dunking the basketball, but honestly the videos I've seen of it legitimately make me dizzy, so do it at your own risk. Honestly though, no player not going for all the trophies is going to spend that much time going for that many tickets, so I totally get why it's the rarest. Fallout 76, good grief, 3.7%. Should probably mention that this is the game I haven't played, so apologies if anything is wrong. This trophy needs you to kill 20 players. Really simple sounding. There are actually multiple ways of going about this, ranging from PvP events or just finding people in adventure mode. Of course, the easiest way to do this is simply to have a friend or a second account that you can farm kills on to get the trophy. I can only assume this is the rarest because PvP isn't the focus of this game and people would rather spend their time not doing it. Which I get, that's kind of how I roll also. We'll avoid PvP if I can help it, in both video games and real life. Wastelanders, a solid foundation, 1.7%. For this trophy you need to become allies with the Foundation. This sounds very simple but can be a right pain. The reason for that is because the only way to raise reputation consistently are the DLC's main storyline, which you can obviously only do once, and daily quests. To pull numbers out that I found online, you start at -2,000 and you need 12,000 reputation points for the trophy. The main daily quest gives a maximum of 250 points. There are also other daily quests that were added later that give less points, as well as the occasional random event, but this is just going to be a grind no matter what you're doing. Just log in and do your dailies and eventually you will get this. Slightly more common trophy, but there's a similar one for the other faction which needs you to do basically the same thing. Joy. Steel Rain. Gold Star Crafter, 2.8%. This one needs you to craft a 1, 2, and 3 star legendary mod. Now research tells me that this has changed somewhat recently due to an update. To craft these you need script and legendary modules. Script can be gotten as a reward for daily quests and things to that effect, and can also be gotten quicker by trading legendaries at yellow exchange machines. Legendary modules though have more ways of getting them, such as expeditions, events, daily ops, and can be bought for 100 script. But don't do that if you don't have the excess script, obviously, because you need that as well. From what I can tell, 1 star needs 5 modules, 2 star needs 10, and 3 star needs 15. Script is for crafting specific mods instead of random ones, but for the purpose of this trophy, either is fine. Tough to say why this is rare. As I said, this is a new method because of recent updates, so it's possible the old way was way longer. Let me know if you played the game back then because I am actually really curious about this. The Pit, Troglodyte, 0.1%. For this trophy, you need to kill 100 trogs with an auto axe. Now, I was not expecting a kill X amount of enemies to be this rare, so you bet there's more steps to this than it seems. First, you need to actually get the weapon. For this, you need 500 stamps, I think. Some places say 1,000 online, but I think that's an old number that's been lowered since. How do you get stamps? From expeditions, of course. Now, there's breakdowns for how many stamps you get per expedition, depending on certain factors, such as whether you're the leader and optional objectives completed, but the max amount of stamps you can get per expedition is 10. Yes, 10 out of 500. Obviously, this is going to take you a while, even if playing optimally. It has also been added to the Atom Shop for 700 atoms, which you can buy with real money, or I think there are ways to earn them in-game. All that was just to actually get the weapon though, upgrade it if you wish, and now onto the actual meat. The Trog's best spawn is the Expedition from Ashes to Fire, as it has around 40 to 50 in there, but there is an easier method. In that same expedition, play until you kill the Trogs in the catacombs, about 15 to 20 of them or so. After that, quit the game, log back in, resume expedition, and the enemies should respawn. Repeat until you have the trophy. I think this is pretty clear why it's rare. The weapon itself takes a bit of effort to get, the enemies only spawn in specific places, and I think it's uncontroversial to say that most players don't use melee in Fallout games. Cue all the people now telling me they've never shot a gun before in a Fallout game. Atlantic City, Rip and Tear, 0.1%. Similar to the previous trophy, this one needs you to kill a certain amount of enemies. This time it's 10 lesser devils with a melee weapon. Any will do, but hey, you can use the auto axe again, might as well after all that effort towards getting it. Similarly to the Trogs, these best spawn in expeditions, this time tax evasion. Only 2 spawn, but this is more than anywhere else, so you just got to deal. Now, one good thing to note is you don't have to deal all the damage with a melee weapon. As long as it's the killing blow, it will count. After killing the 2, do the same strat as before to reload them and do it a few more times to get the trophy. Most of the same reasons for this being rare apply. Only difference is that any melee weapon can be used, but as I previously mentioned, I don't think there's many people using melee weapons normally, especially against these kinds of enemies. And that is all of them. How many of these do you have? Personally, I've done all of them except Fallout 76. I'll get around to it at some point. Let me know which you have in the comments, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and makes it so you have easier access to my videos, both old and new. If you like this video, press like on it, because that does also help. For now though, I'm off, hunt them troves, and I'll see you next time.